Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
May I do it, Prabhuji?
Yeah, go ahead, Chandan Prabhu.
Om Anyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurvamilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupa Kalamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Patha Kamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavscha Sri Rupam Sagarajam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitham Tamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Sabadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Radha Krishna Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabharam Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhayaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So today I will first answer inquiries. There are a lot of inquiries, and then I will also bring up on screen the striking points. Next, you will all answer homework spiritual endeavor questions, and then we will continue from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6. Okay, let's see. So I will first answer the leftover questions from our last class. Therefore, the sequence starts from count number 9. So question is that we have put emphasis on seeking permission before taking remnants, meaning the Mahaprasad. La Prabhupada said in the purport that such remnants can be taken even without permission. So please clarify the difference. So if you take Mahaprasad with permission, the effect is quicker. And if you take Mahaprasad without permission, the Mahaprasad is still Mahaprasad. Therefore, you can still take the Mahaprasad. It is just that the effect will be little less and may take a little longer. So what Prabhupada is saying in the purport that just because you have not taken permission does not change the status of Mahaprasad. It still is Mahaprasad. Just that the result will differ. Does that answer?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Question number 10. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.9. Srila Vyasadeva knew the difference between the 4 less important Purusharth and supremacy of devotional service, but still he used his time improperly in describing those, meaning the Purusharth. So is this also infused by the Lord to show Srimad Bhagavatam's supremacy? Because this has caused a lot of trouble in people looking for higher truth but getting misguided. So we already discussed this at great length, that Krishna created this situation where Srila Vyasadeva would write the Vedas and other Puranas and the Mahabharata and feel dissatisfaction so that Srimad Bhagavatam can appear on this planet. Does that answer?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Question number 11. Is Brahma Bhuta same as Brahman realization, or what is Brahma Bhuta stage? So Brahma Bhuta means spiritual. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 18.54. So for a Gyan yogi, Brahman Bhuta is Brahman effulgence. For Ashtang yogi, Brahma Bhuta is Paramatma realization. And for you all Bhakti yogi, Brahma Bhuta is Bhagwan realization and to be able to do devotional service. So I'll bring up 18.54 on screen. It starts with the words Brahma Bhuta. Anybody wants to recite 18.54? It's obviously is a key memorization verse. Somebody want to memorize, recite
Yes,
from this?
I can.
Yeah, go ahead. Nitya, unmute. Unmute.
Yes, Prabhu. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Na Society Na Ansati Sama Sarvesu Bhutesu Mad Bhaktim Lapate Parth.
So we'll read the translation and purport, paragraph number 1, which answers the question. Shivangi, translation and paragraph 1.
Hare Krishna. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Purport. To the personalist, achieving the Brahma Bhuta stage, becoming one with the Absolute, is the last word. But for the personalist or pure devotee, one has to go still further to become engaged in pure devotional service. This means that one who is engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is already in a state of liberation called Brahma Bhuta, oneness with the Absolute. Without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute, one cannot render service unto him. In the absolute conception, there is no difference between the served and the servitor, yet the distinction is still there in a higher spiritual sense.
All right. Does that answer the inquiry?
Prabhuji, it doesn't, the way I understand it is, it says that Brahma Bhuta is Brahman realization. Like, devotee is about that.
We read clearly in the purport that for impersonalist, Brahma Bhuta is to merge with the absolute truth. And for pure devotees is to be engaged in devotional service. That's exactly what I described. So Brahma Bhuta is spiritual platform, but depends on what the transcendentalists are pursuing. Abhishek Prabhu?
It is saying one has to go still further.
Yeah. So read it clearly. Prabhupada starts with impersonalist. He says that for impersonalist, merging with the Brahman effulgence is the last word. But we have to go further, meaning we have to go to the highest realization of Bhagwan realization. And Bhagwan realization means you are engaged in devotional service. That's exactly what Prabhupada says. One has to go further to become engaged in pure devotional service. That is Brahma Bhuta. That is Brahma Bhuta for a pure devotee, meaning Bhakti yogis.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Nitya had a question.
No, Prabhu, it was answered. Thank you.
Question number 12. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.4.19 purport last line says, that is the way of ascertaining respective values of scriptures. What is the way discussed? Read the verse and the purport. It describes the scriptures coming down in disciplic succession is the way being described. Number 13. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.4.23. No one can claim independent knowledge beyond Vedas. How to understand modern science in this respect? So the principles of everything in the material world also, including medicine, whatever science field, are all described in Vedas, principle level. Scientists are only discovering, and even the inspiration to these scientists to discover is infused by Krishna. So scientists are not creating anything new. They are only discovering. Example, Newton did not create gravity. Rather, he only discovered gravity. Does that answer the question?
Yes, yes.
Number 14. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.8 last paragraph says, Srila Vyasadeva didn't directly explain Vedanta, but he did explain it in Srimad Bhagavatam as its natural commentary on Vedanta. So what is the direct explanation referring to? Okay. So let me explain this. It's not crystal clear when you read it from the scriptures. So if you actually go back and read the purports that I am referring to, you will find the answers. So Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1 says that the four Vedas compiled by Srila Vyasadeva are known as Vedanta. Then 1.2.3 explains that Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra was compiled by Srila Vyasadeva to give the cream of Vedic knowledge. Then further in 1.5.4, it describes that Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra compiled by Srila Vyasadeva is deliberation of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Srila Vyasadeva compiled Vedic literatures ending with Vedanta, but these do not glorify directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Vedanta Sutra is directed towards Gyanis. Further, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.3 describes that Srimad Bhagavatam is the one unrivaled natural commentary on this cream, meaning Srimad Bhagavatam is the commentary of Vedanta Sutra. So 1.1.1 Srimad Bhagavatam describes that Srimad Bhagavatam is the personal commentation on the Vedanta Sutra. So at the time of verse 1.5.8, where this question arises, Srila Vyasadeva has not yet explained Srimad Bhagavatam. That is what is being referred to. Everybody on the same page? I gave a little longer answer with so many references.
Yes, great. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Detail.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so up to number 14 were the leftover questions from last class, and now I will answer new set of questions that you all submitted at the last class. Question 1. At the end of life, does everyone experience fear of death? So Krishna has explained that everyone sees Krishna as death at the time of death. Generally, pure devotees will not have fear of death. Everyone else would generally have fear at the time of death because of bodily attachments. Does that answer the question?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Next question. How can we help someone facing end of life? Now, it is a little late to try to help someone at the moment of death if they have spent their entire life in sense gratification. Still, you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra besides the person about to leave the body. Play Srila Prabhupada Japa. Read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, important verses. So ask the person to try to remember Krishna. Now, depending on whether the person about to leave has had some involvement in philosophy of Krishna consciousness, then you can speak philosophy, else do not speak philosophy. In general, try to not speak philosophy. Just focus on chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, important verses. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhu, that's a very practical way of doing it, because many of them, many times people have not been or don't have a very strong faith. So it's hard then, to discuss faith at the end of life. So it's a practical dilemma.
Mhm. Yeah, therefore I said stay away from philosophy. Just give them comfort, not to worry. Try them, listen what they are saying. If you chant japa, they may or may not like. You can play kirtan. Kirtan basically is the same as japa. It's just is in a musical soothing format. Play kirtan. That will help. Question number 3. What is Pancharatrika system and what are the authorized codes it has for devotional service? The question comes from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.38 purport. So to return to our original natural Swarupa as eternal servant of Krishna, it involves two ways. One is the traditional tapasya way, where one performs austerity, example, fasting on Ekadashi, then follow celibacy, then mind and sense control, then truthfulness, renunciation, cleanliness. All these are traditional tapasya items. By all these, we become gradually purified. So for this traditional tapasya, the result is gradual. And it is little difficult process because this traditional process is focused on restraining the mind and senses. Now, Pancharatrika system means the method centered around devotional activities. Taking shelter of Krishna and practicing devotional service, which is centered around worship of Gopinath and service to Guru, this will make swifter spiritual advancement. So Srila Rupa Goswami gives do's and don'ts. So do's means that practice bhakti under Guru Maharaj's guidance in association with devotees. And don'ts are like follow the 4 regulative principles. So these processes under Pancharatrika system is far more potent and far more swifter. The Pancharatrika, how does the name come? Was that this Pancharatrika system, originally these processes were explained over 5 nights. Hence, Panch. Panch means 5. So in terms of what are the authorized codes, so everything that Srila Prabhupada has given us in his books and by his personal teachings about doing devotional services, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, following 4 regulative principles, are the codes of devotional services. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Question number 4. Nitya has a question.
Prabhu, so the 5 things, mainly chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and the 4 regulative principles would be the main focus for the Pancharatrika system.
So there's in Nectar of Devotion, there are 64 items of devotional services given, and last 5 items are the most potent forms. The 5 potent forms are Gopinath worship, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with devotees, and reciting in Vrindavan, Mathura, etc. These are the 5 potent forms of devotional service. Of course, chanting is included, and following regular principles are already part of these. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you so much.
Question number 4 from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17 explains that material duties can be given up to engage in service of the Lord. How to understand this verse's application in today's world? So, yes, this point from 1.5.17 is raised by many devotees. So understand that in 1.5.17, Srila Narad Muni is talking about pure devotees. That pure devotees are simply focused on devotional service. While you are asking for today's worldly duties. So that itself is the difference, that because you are not at pure devotional level. So further we have discussed in terms of relevance, even for you all who are not necessarily at pure devotional level, we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita 2.40 and 6.40, and is also explained in this same verse 1.5.17 also, that any spiritual endeavor, there is no loss. Materially, whatever we gain is taken away at the time of death. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes.
Question number 5. Immaturely giving up duty is also compared to be better. But what if someone jumps in fast and then leaves rather than going slow, but continuing? What should be the better approach? So the better approach is obviously the gradual advancement on the path of spirituality rather than rapid rise and then rapid fall. So there are many instances and some even from Toronto Temple that someone so enthusiastically does so many things at the start when they first start coming to the temple, and then they vanish from the temple very soon. So we have discussed many times that we need to find a balance. If you are rapidly trying to do something to advance, most likely you will vanish also very soon. Does that help?
Can you explain this further? Like, why would someone who is so enthusiastic just vanish all of a sudden?
Yeah.
It is strange.
Yeah, because so Abhishek Prabhu, you were there in yesterday's class in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, when
Yes.
verse number 3, Prabhupada described religion and philosophy. So we discussed yesterday, and I will repeat, that just as in the material world, in the science laboratory, there is theory and then there is practice or the actual experiment. Similarly, in spirituality, there is religion and philosophy, that you need to have the conviction from philosophy. Why are you worshipping and serving Krishna? So all these people who come and do a lot of things, they never study anything. They are simply focused on doing service. And I have described multiple times that service is not a mechanical task. So many devotees present here who came last 2 weeks back for service at the Toronto Temple, and many are going to come today also at the Toronto Temple for services. Service is not a mechanical task. So what these people who come and rapidly do service, what they are doing is they are doing a material task in the name of service. Just as somebody in the material world is working. Yes, when these people are working in the devotional platform, they are getting benefit. But it is very difficult for them to sustain because they don't have a balance of religion and philosophy. Abhishek Prabhu and everybody.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It was clear.
Right, very good inquiries, very good reading with rapt attention, and therefore you have these elevated inquiries. Thank you for your inquiries. Your inquiries are your mercy on me. You realize that for your inquiries, how much research I have had to do to be able to answer your inquiries. So thank you again. Because of your inquiries, I get to research and speak about Krishna consciousness. Therefore, is your mercy on me. Thank you. Question number 6. Vyasadeva, even though Krishna himself acts and behaves as an elevated jiva and not God, how to understand him coming down from position of God and behave as servant? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did the same, but we refer to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as God. So yes, Srila Vyasadeva is also Krishna himself. Now you cannot apply a blanket rule because depends on the purpose of each incarnation. So Srila Vyasadeva's purpose was writing all these scriptures, learning from Guru, and he's teaching all of us. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to relish the love of Srimati Radharani, as well as to fast forward the Sankirtan movement. So the purpose of each incarnation is different, and you have to understand according to the purpose of the incarnation. Srila Vyasadeva is still Krishna himself. So Srila Vyasadeva is also glorified quite a lot. Like we have Vyasa Puja. That actually is glorification of Srila Vyasadeva. Or even every temple, all the speakers giving classes, they sit on Vyasasan. So what is that Vyasasan? Vyasa and Asan, that's the seat of Srila Vyasadeva. And we are just representing him and following in his footsteps. Does that answer?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Question number 7. When Srila Narad Muni's sins were destroyed by taking remnants, did his anartha also get destroyed because he reached Ruchi stage? So above Ruchi stage is Bhava, and then above is Prema stage. Now this is described in Nectar of Devotion, as well as this discussion will come up in Srimad Bhagavatam, that it is possible that some tinge of anartha may stay on even when one reaches Bhava stage, but this is very rare. So not at the Ruchi stage, even the Bhava stage, which is above Ruchi, it is possible that some anartha, not full anartha, but just a tinge may stay. Now, where this discussion comes up, the scriptures do not specify which anartha is left over at the bhava stage. It can vary from person to person. Now, it is only because of offenses that a devotee can fall down from such a high stage of bhava bhakti. There are actually one or two, one for sure I know, could be 2 cases in ISKCON where devotees have fallen down from a very high level. They were sannyasis at the bhava stage, probably above, and they have fallen down, and now they are working in the material world in the 9 to 5 job, putting on jeans and t-shirt. Does that answer the inquiry?
Prabhuji, here just when it says that his sins were destroyed, like it is referring to only sin or it is referring to anarthas as well? This was not clear.
So it in the purport where you are reading, where this is described, it should be 1.5.23 or 24, where he is taken, Narad Muni has taken Mahama Prasad. There it's referring to sins, not anarthas. It's referring to sins.
But his anarthas also got destroyed.
Yeah, in the process. So
Okay.
when he's taking Mahama Prasad and he is hearing the scriptures and following, he's still not a pure devotee. So we'll read in today's class from Canto 1, Chapter 6, where Srila Narad Muni, who is still in his previous life as a 5-year-old boy, is when he will go on to become a pure devotee and he will get darshan of the Lord. We'll discuss that today in our Canto 1, Chapter 6. But in Chapter 5, when he is describing Canto 1, Chapter 5, he's still in the process of getting purified. Abhishek Prabhu.
Yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, what is the reason why someone would fall down from such a high state?
Offenses. So devotees from batch 1 and 2 just had this discussion at the last class in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29. So Lord Kapila Dev describes devotional service in the modes of ignorance, passion, and goodness, and then he describes pure devotion. So, and then the question comes up, what is it that stops someone from reaching the pure devotional level? And the answer Lord Kapila himself gives, the answer in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, verses 21 onward. There are about 8 or 9 verses where he describes that offenses and disrespecting devotees are the only cause for someone to fall down. So those who were present in yesterday's batch 1 and 2 class can shed some light. So Dipanshu, Shivangi, who else? Chandran Prabhu, Mother Jija. Shed some light on what we discussed yesterday. Somebody? Dipanshu, Shivangi, Chandran, Shivangi.
Prabhuji, may I try this?
Yeah, Chandran Prabhu, go ahead.
That is give up the association of all this, and knowingly or unknowingly, if they fall down from the modes of this thing, all the devotion goes wrong. It gives a
Okay.
person, yes.
Okay, very
And
good. Even unconsciously, if you are disrespecting someone. Okay, very good. Shivangi wanted to also say something.
Yeah, Prabhuji, you said if you can't respect someone, at least try not to disrespect them.
Yeah, very good. Very good remembrance of the punchline that you cannot respect someone, at least don't disrespect. And then Lord Kapila goes on to describe the gradation of all jivas, all the way from inanimate objects, all the way to pure devotee. There's a very long list of 23 categories. And Lord Kapila says, respect everyone. Divya and everybody.
Okay, Prabhuji, I have one more follow-up. So, our tendency to commit offenses, is that because of the anarthas that we have, or
Yeah, absolutely correct.
okay, so it's not karma or anything like that.
You are absolutely correct, both points, that it is not karma, it is because of anarthas we do offenses.
And anarthas are sort of there because until our faith in the Lord is complete and pure, the anarthas will remain.
You are correct. So anarthas continue from previous life. It's not a black and white answer.
Okay.
But yes, from our past karma, from our past inclinations, from even current desire to enjoy, all these leads to anarthas.
Okay. So that means the surrendering process has not happened fully. So that's why when you're at such a high stage, you can still fall because you've not fully surrendered. Okay.
So, they are surrendered, but because of offenses, because of committing offenses at the feet of a Vaishnava, their anarthas reappear. So this is what Bhagavatam and Nectar of Devotion describes, that for some, it is rare that for some, even at the bhava stage, some tinge of anartha stays, and that can reappear in full form.
Okay. So is it like a test, Prabhuji, then at that stage?
It is a test. So Maya Devi will test you until the end of your life. Therefore, we have to be very, very careful. I've described this before, that one time, Srila Prabhupada was praying to Durga Devi, Maya Devi, and devotees were wondering, they actually went and asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, why are you praying to Maya Devi? You are a pure devotee. And Prabhupada says, no, I have to take the humble position and recognize that Maya Devi is very strong. I will not fall down because I am praying to Maya Devi to help me rather than give me troubles. So Prabhupada is teaching us by example that stay humble. I mean, Prabhupada is the highest authority in ISKCON, and Prabhupada is teaching us humility, saying that don't be puffed up. Maya Devi is very strong. Maya Devi will take down anyone and everyone. Divya and everybody.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Next, question number 8 and 9. Separate devotees have asked almost identical question from 1.5.37. What is Shakti Tattva? And same from 1.5.37, question number 8 and 9. The quadruple expansion are original deities for all other truth, Vishnu and Shakti Tattva. What does this mean? So, devotees from batch number 6 have not yet seen the visual. It's coming up very soon in your classes. So I've shown visuals for the first quadruple expansion of first Vasudev, first Sankarshan, first Pradyumna, and first Anirudh, as well as the second quadruple expansions. So these expansions can be Vishnu Tattva or as energies, means as Shakti Tattva. Now, I have only briefly described here because these are very elevated subject matters and beyond me. Therefore, I am only briefly describing about the first quadruple expansion and the second quadruple expansion, that they can be Vishnu Tattva or as energies. Everybody on the same page? Shivangi?
Just to clarify, Ruji, so you mean that it can be Shakti Tattva that also does both the quadruple expansions?
I don't think the quadruple expansions are Shakti Tattva, but there are many expansions. The quadruple expansions should all be at Vishnu Tattva. It's the first Vasudev, first Sankarshan, first Pradyumna, and first Anirudh. But
So-
again, I am only, so I am not an expert on this subject matter. I'm answering probably from my Pratyaksha Praman. So if you have questions on this, we probably may have to part, but these are very elevated subject matters. Shivangi, but ask what you have more to ask.
It's okay, Ruji. I don't know what to ask, so it's okay.
All right. Question number 10. So the devotee is saying that I joined the class to gain jnana about our scriptures. The jnana that I get from the classes is to move to bhakti, to karma mishra bhakti. Is this the right understanding? So this devotee joined our class to gain jnana. Everybody should be able to answer. What is the Bhagavad Gita verse applicable for this devotee? Everybody, please answer. Everybody should know the answer. Even if you don't know the verse number, you should know the essence. What's the verse? That somebody comes to Krishna for jnana. What's the verse?
7.13.
Okay, we're close. Not 7.13, but close.
If it is like many lives, Gyanis come after many lives, and
Okay,
the
so that's
ultimate
7.19. That is a different point. That 7.19 describes that Jnani, after many births, come to the point of surrender. But here the devotee has come to Krishna to attain Jnana. What is the Bhagavad Gita verse for this?
4 kind of people come. Is
Yeah,
that
4
right?
kinds of people come to Krishna. Very good. So 7.16, Krishna says that 4 kinds of people start rendering devotional service. Jnani is one of them, means this devotee who has asked this question is under 7.16 Bhagavad Gita verse. So coming to the answer to this question, that yes, you are absolutely correct in your understanding that we have to start doing bhakti from whatever be our level. And Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita 18.56 onwards. And then we have discussed this at our yoga ladder class, that follow either the karma yoga to bhakti yoga path or the karma kanda to bhakti yoga path. So again, for batch number 6 devotees, the yoga ladder discussion is coming up very soon. Does that answer the inquiry?
जी प्रभु जी.
Okay, question number 11. Supreme Brahman means Lord Shri Krishna, Bhagwan feature. Is that correct? The answer is that there are 3 levels of spiritual realization, as is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11. Is a key memorization verse. Brahmeti Paramatmaiti Bhagwaneti Shabdyate. So Brahman effulgence is the lowest spiritual realization and is not complete spiritual realization. Only the Sat aspect is realized. Sat means eternal. Next higher level of spiritual realization is Paramatma realization. And this is also not complete spiritual realization. Only Sat and Chit aspects are realized. Chit is knowledge. Highest and full spiritual realization is Bhagwan realization, where Sat Chit Ananda is realized. As is explained in Bhagavad Gita 14.27, Krishna is the basis of Brahman effulgence. Brahman effulgence is also spiritual realization, but Brahman effulgence is not Bhagwan realization. Now, this again is an upcoming discussion for batch 6 devotees in Yoga Ladder. This discussion will come up in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 very soon. And further is also upcoming discussion here in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 chapter 7, which is the next very soon class. So if we finish chapter 6 today, probably we may not, then this discussion will come up in the next Srimad Bhagavatam class, else definitely in the following class here for this batch 3 and 4 in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1 chapter 7 is coming up discussion. Does that answer the inquiry? Okay. Number 12. What is the superior part of Lord's energy which is manifesting in spiritual world? Internal energy is the spiritual energy. Srimati Radharani is in charge of this internal energy. The internal energy is manifested wherever there is Krishna, means wherever there is spiritual world. So when Krishna was physically visible in the material world roughly 5,000 years ago during Mahabharata time, the internal energy was manifested in the material world because wherever there is Krishna, that place becomes spiritual. The internal potency is to give pleasure to Krishna. So the devotional services we do in the material world is also under this internal energy, under Srimati Radharani. Does that answer the inquiry? Okay. Question number 13. What is the clear difference between Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga? In both of them, anything we do is do it for Krishna. This is my understanding. I could not differentiate. So we discussed this at our last class for batch 6. Those who are present, do you want to answer this question? What's the difference between Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? Many of you, at least some of you were present yesterday. Abhishek,
Hare
Dharu.
Krishna.
Yeah.
So one difference which I remember is in Karma Yoga, our foot is still in two boats, material boat and spiritual boat. And depending on the level of Karma Yoga, it can be more on the spiritual side or more on the material side. But in Bhakti Yoga, we are completely surrendered.
Okay, very good. Correct remembrance. So this is a valid question by the devotee. Since the yoga ladder discussion is soon coming up for batch 6 and 7 devotees, where many of these points will become crystal clear. So understand that the words Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Buddhi Yoga are used interchangeably in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 to refer to the highest level of Bhakti Yoga. But karma or Karma Yoga that we do does not automatically make it Bhakti Yoga. Karma focuses more towards my own self and less towards Krishna, even if I have my feet at both places. Now, degree will vary for each one of us. Bhakti Yoga focuses simply on satisfying Krishna. Although at Nishkam Karma Yoga level, you are very close to Bhakti Yoga, but Nishkam Karma Yoga is still not 100% Bhakti Yoga. It's very close. You are standing at the doorstep. In Nishkam Karma Yoga, even with detachment, you are still inclined to work in material world for your sake, even if it is for a tiny bit. Does that answer the inquiry? Nitya?
Prabhu, so in Nishkam Karma Yoga, when we're doing it, we're still doing fruitive work and accumulating karma.
So in Nishkam Karma Yoga, you may not be doing fruitive work, but you are still attached to work. So if you open your yoga ladder, and on the left side, we had populated boxes for each of these various levels, Karmakanda, Sakam, Nishkam. Besides Nishkam, he says, okay, you may be detached from the fruits, but you are still attached to work. Nitya?
So Prabhu, the karma still accumulates at that point, right?
Yeah, the degree is very small. I mean, it's again very fine line because you are not attached to fruits. It's the karma that generally accumulates is coming from fruits. But do understand that some karma also accrues by doing work in the material world for your own sake. So there are multiple ways how karma accumulates.
Prabhu, a follow-up then. So as long as we are working in the material world, then we are definitely never going to be free of karma, right? Even
You are absolutely
however,
correct. We have discussed this in Bhagavad Gita 4.16, 17, 18, that karma is an endless loop. If you try to exhaust your karma, it is not possible. We have an infinite loop of karma. So what you have to do is you have to rise above. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, just at our last class in batch 1 and 2, we discussed where Prabhupada explains in the purport that even for devotees, even for pure devotees, some killing is unavoidable. So you are bound to generate karma. What you have to do is you have to do devotional service and you have to surrender to Krishna. And that's what Krishna says in 18.66, Moksheshyami Masucha, that I will take away all your good and bad karma. But if you try to exhaust your karma by yourself, you are bound to fail because karma is an endless loop. Right there.
yes, Prabhu, the perfect answer. The mercy of the Lord, thank you.
Okay. Last question for today. Despite knowing that Bhakti Yoga is considered the supreme path, why do some yogis pursue Gyan Marg, considering the fact that Gyanis might still fall down even after attaining liberation? So we have discussed that those following the Gyan Yoga path either do not know that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, or they do not have devotee association. Gyan Yogi have partial understanding. They think Brahman effulgence is all they need to reach to. So Gyan Yogi do not necessarily know that Bhakti Yoga is the easier path, and they do not know beyond Brahman effulgence because they are lacking devotee association. Now it's an upcoming discussion at batch 1 and 2 Srimad Bhagavatam class. In Canto 3 towards the end is described that some of these transcendentalists, they actually know Bhagwan realization, but they still choose to go to Brahman effulgence because the root cause of their disease of being in the material world is not yet cured. Hence, such transcendentalists are not interested in doing devotional service, rather are focused on trying to get out of the material world misery, since they have realized that material world is a place of misery. So once the root cause is cured, only then the devotee engages in devotional service. Does that answer the inquiry? Nitya?
Prabhu, practically, if I might ask, because we meet people who are on the Jnani path, and it is very difficult to convince them, yes, devotee association, giving them or showing them the path, engaging in the classes and stuff. But practically, what else can we do to help them? I'm not talking about transcendentalists. I'm talking about people who are just following the path of Jnani, not doing it practically. How can we draw them towards bhakti?
Yeah. Use spiritual bullets. What are spiritual bullets? Prabhupada has described in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 verse 13-14 in the purport. Prabhupada has described that unless their mind is cleansed, it is very difficult for them to progress on spiritual path. So instead of you thinking to be the doer, you just be the instrument in the hands of Krishna by giving them prasad. Prasad is the best and the easiest way to get all these people, their minds cleansed of all these misconceptions, and soon they will come to associating with devotees and realizing scriptures. So prasad, and ask them to come to the Sunday feast program. So whenever we go out on book distribution, we do these two things. Yes, we show books, And all those who don't take books, we give them prasad. Now, prasad we carry is just candy or chips. And we tell them, come to Sunday feast. It's a free feast, like opulent free feast. Come and take as much as you like. That's what Prabhupada has described as spiritual bullets, and that's what will transform them. Nitya?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Abhishek Prabhu?
Please follow up that prasad, like giving to outside people, they need to know what it is, or it can be given without.
What it is meaning?
Prasad, like this is prasad, sanctified food or something.
Yeah, you just say sanctified food. There's no harm in saying that. If somebody doesn't ask, it doesn't matter. You can just say, here's some candy. Just say that. Here's some chips. Either way, doesn't matter. Dhara?
Prabhuji, I have a follow-up question for number 13. So karma yoga, you are still working, and by work do you mean like the job that we do?
You are correct. So karma yoga, whatever you are doing in the material world, as long as it is for your sake. In bhakti yoga also you are working the same job.
Okay, yeah.
It's just your focus changes that I am doing it for pleasure of Krishna. So your same job, your same study, if you dovetail as Krishna conscious activity, that becomes bhakti yoga. So we have started practicing, at least for those in batch 6 and 7 where you are, Dhara. And we will practice throughout to make our 24-hour day as Krishna conscious without having to change our honorable material world workplace. Dhara?
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so striking points, there are 2 slides. Take a snapshot. This is slide number 1. And here's slide number 2. Questions, comments, realizations. We spent almost more than an hour on inquiries. Okay, so let's you all explain the homework spiritual endeavor questions. Let's do it quickly. Somebody quickly, what are the homework questions you had?
Can I answer, Prabhuji?
Yeah, go ahead, Archana.
Yeah, the first question was, what are the qualifications required to become a pure devotee? So the first is always take a pure devotee association and always gentle to receive the instruction of pure devotee. And with the association of pure devotee and their mercy, one can get rid of all the sin. And devotee must faithfully serve the pure devotee, and he should be obedient and strictly follow the instruction.
Okay, very good. Everybody should take turns to answer. Many of you just are spectators in the class. So participate. What's the next question?
Prabhuji,
Chandan,
Prabhuji, can
yeah.
us.
Go ahead, Chandan Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I tried for the second question about the Bhakti Mishra Dhyana and Karma Mishra Bhakti.
Yeah.
It is clearly, as we discussed, Prabhuji, you explained very clearly about the Bhakti Yoga and the Karma Yoga. It is explained in 35 and 36 of the text, what Bhakti Yoga is another form of karma yoga. Karma, and this is the Bhakti Yoga is again above both Karma Yoga and Jnana. But Bhakti Yoga is independent of Jnana and Karma. It is clearly said. And to satisfy the Lord and should be purified from the material affection, one should have the knowledge. The knowledge is dependent on karma or work done on behalf of the Lord, is what I explained. And then subsequently it is said, it cannot lead one back to the kingdom of God, but engage in the unalloyed service of the Lord, specifically hearing and chanting of the transcendental glories, one becomes enlightened by the grace of the God. This is what I understood in this thing.
Okay, very good explanation of Karma Mishra Bhakti. Okay, Pragya.
Can I say some points, Prabhuji?
All right, Pragya, hold on. Pragya, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So just to add to that, my little understanding of Karma Mishra Bhakti and Bhakti Mishra Gyan is that Karma Mishra Bhakti is doing all our karma for the satisfaction of Sri Krishna. So if we are doing this, anything that we do for the satisfaction of Sri Krishna, this will automatically bring us to a space of being genuine, being righteous, being honest and sincere while performing our karma, since we always need to be conscious that whatever we are doing to please Krishna. So if we are able to transform our lives to bring in this consciousness in us all the time and keep Lord Krishna in forefront, then I think that we are on the right path, since the principle is to satisfy the Lord. Whereas in Bhakti Mishra Gyan, people practice bhakti to get Gyan about the Lord. But then what to do with this Gyan? This Gyan should lead one to move to bhakti. And for this reason, the only path is to please the Lord. So my understanding was that therefore the Bhakti Yoga is considered supreme, and it is better than Jnana Yoga.
Okay, very good, correct understanding that while you are doing bhakti or while you are doing your karma with the focus of bhakti, then you are developing all these required qualities. Very good. Archana?
And even in a Karma Mishra Bhakti, we understood the soul is active and we dowtail all the activities in the bhakti. But in a Jnana Mishra Bhakti, they give up the activity and they think activities are binding force.
Okay, so you said Gyan Mishra Bhakti. What you are describing is Bhakti Mishra Jnana, means where the last part is Jnana, which is the primary. Where
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, where Archana is describing that Jnanis think that I just have to disentangle myself and merge with effulgence. Okay, very good. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. So in Karma Mishra Bhakti, the focus is bhakti has to be dominant over karma. That should be our focus.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Correct point. Questions, comments, realizations, Pragya?
Prabhuji, I just wanted to ask a question that while we understand this, that while performing our karma, we have to keep consciousness of Krishna and surrender to Krishna in our endeavors. But when we are actually into our material karma, that thought doesn't remain, that how to bring in that thought, because when you're at work, you're completely submerged there in that thought. So everything comes back, Prabhuji, the envy, everything else comes back. So which is, you don't like it, but it is there.
Yeah, so you need purification, and this is a practice that devotees who come for the services at the Toronto temple. So I explained to them, and it's a continuous process. It's not that I've explained one time and they get purified. It's a continuous process. What happens is when we do services, when we reach the temple, we are just started, so we are a little slow. We are trying to catch speed, and we are trying to memorize. And then what happens is, then the cook says, hey, now we are behind. Or I also say, hey, we are behind. Now I need this quickly. And everybody goes, they start working very fast, and then they forget to memorize. Why? Because the modes take over. So you have to recognize constantly which mode you are in. So this is a practice, and I describe this to the devotees who come to the temple. I have described this multiple times, that when you are at the temple in association with devotees, it's easier to identify that the modes take over. I mean, of course, I many times point out, hey, look what happened. You are now under mode of passion. So stop and step back and bring yourself back in the mode of goodness, and then think first and then act. The other important point you have to remember is that do your sadhana in the morning. The more you do your sadhana in the morning, you create a fence of Krishna consciousness around you. That should help you to curb your anarthas. I'm not saying anarthas will go away immediately, but it should curb your anarthas. So you have to practice your sadhana early morning. If you recall, Nitya has described this many times, which we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita 18.46, that how your work can become worship. First, you have to worship in the morning to create a fence of Krishna consciousness around you. Then, rest of the day will become Krishna consciousness. So, rest of the day, Krishna may not be in the forefront, but at least he's in the background. But if you don't do your sadhana in the morning, you are just under the modes. You are just under your karmic inclination. So it is good that you are observing, but you have to also rectify. Pragya, does that help you?
Ji Prabhuji, very useful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so observe your modes and do your sadhana in the morning to create the fence around you. Very good. Vimal?
Just explain me sadhana. Is it, you mean the morning rituals, japas and regular prayers?
So
What do you mean by
sadhana,
sadhana?
yeah, sadhana means you do your japa. It does not mean you have to complete all 16. If you can complete all 16, by all means, complete all 16. But at least establish a connection with Krishna in the morning. How do you establish a connection? You do your sadhana, means you do your japa, even if it is 1 round, 2 round, 3 round, 4 round, 8 rounds, whatever be, and read at least one verse in the morning. So sometimes you may have time to read the verse and the purport, or sometimes you may just read the verse translation. Or you can listen to Prabhupada lecture while you are doing the morning offering. So these are some of the ways. So now it is not carved in stone what you have to do. You can adjust according to your circumstances as to what works best for you. Vimal Prabhu? Okay.
Prabhuji, may I ask just one small thing, that this reading one verse in the morning, can in our group we take up this initiative to send the verse every day to the group, so that
So everybody is at different place. Many are already doing it. You start whatever works for you. Start somewhere. You can do key memorization of Bhagavad Gita. You can start that way. It's easier because you have already memorized. Instead of giving a task to me or somebody.
no, not to use it. I wanted to take it actually. not
So
to give.
what do you want to do?
To give a verse and its meaning in the morning to the group. Didn't want to give a task actually. Maybe by
So,
rotation, or I would like to do it to begin
and
with.
what you want to post it in the WhatsApp group?
If it is, yeah, so people can read just
Yeah. So
something.
it's a day and night difference for those who are in
Yes.
India and those in
I understand that, Prabhuji.
right. So it's easier to just do it by yourself, and we can decide later on whether to post it in the group. Because I mean, if you post it for in the morning, it's evening time here in North America.
Yes, Prabhuji, I understand that. Okay.
Yeah. So you can start by yourself by Bhagavad Gita key memorization verses, and that should help you. All right. So we have spent a lot of time on inquiries today. So let's continue with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 6. So we definitely will not finish this Chapter 6 today, but that's okay. We will finish it in our subsequent class. So Chapter 6. In this Chapter 6, Srila Narad Muni will describe how he got darshan of the Lord. So Srila Narad Muni is still in his previous life, the 5-year-old Shudra boy. This Chapter 6 describes that this 5-year-old Shudra boy goes on to become a pure devotee. In his previous life, when he was 5-year-old boy, he got darshan of the Lord, and then the millennium ended. And everybody went into Mahavishnu's womb, including this 5-year-old boy, as a pure devotee. And next millennium, when everybody comes out, so this 5-year-old boy comes out and takes birth as Srila Narad Muni from Brahmaji. So chapter 6 is titled Conversation between Srila Narad Muni and Srila Vyasadeva. It's divided into 6 parts. Part 1 is verses 1 to 4. Srila Vyasadev's inquiries from Srila Narad Muni. Part 2, verses 5 to 14. Srila Narad Muni begins his travel. Part 3, verses 15 to 20. Srila Narad Muni experiences ecstatic love of God. Part 4, verses 21 to 25. Lord spoke to Srila Narad Muni. Part 5, verses 26 to 33. Srila Narad Muni's traveling and preaching. Part 6, verses 34 to 38. Suta Goswami describes Srila Narad Muni's glories. So part 1 is Srila Vyasadev's inquiries from Srila Narad Muni. Verses 1 to 4 has all these inquiries. Vimal Prabhu, verse 1 to 4 translations.
Verse 1, Suta said, O Brahmana, thus hearing all about Sri Narada's birth and activities, Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God and son of Satyavati, inquired as followed. Text 2, Sri Vyasadeva said, What did you, Narada, do after the departure of the great sage who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth? Text 3. O son of Brahma, how did you pass your life after initiation? And how did you attain this body, having quit your old one in due course? Text 4. O great sage, time annihilated everything in due course. So, how is it that this subject matter, which happened prior to this day of Brahmas, is still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by time? Hare Krishna.
So, Srila Vyasadeva makes 4 inquiries, very important inquiries he makes. First, he says, what did you do after the departure of sages? Second question is, how did you pass your life after initiation? Third question is, how did you get this body? Means the current body of Srila Narad Muni. So chapter says Narad Muni, but he's still not Narad Muni. He's still the 5-year-old Shudra boy. Of course, in this chapter, he will go on to become a pure devotee, even in his previous life as 5-year-old boy. So question number 3 is, how did you get this body, I mean the current body of Srila Narad Muni, after having quit your old one when you were son of a maid servant? And the fourth question is, how could you remember the history of your previous life? We all know we don't remember. So not only it was Narad Muni's previous life, plus it was also end of the millennium. Means after Narad Muni left his body of the previous body of 5-year-old Shudra boy, it was the partial annihilation. So for 4.3 billion years, everybody, including this 5-year-old boy, is sleeping in Mahavishnu's womb and comes out and he remembers everything. So how is it possible? We'll understand how is that possible. So why Srila Vyasadeva is making all these inquiries is because Srila Vyasadeva wants to follow in the same footsteps of his spiritual master, Srila Narad Muni. Everybody on the same page?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Ji, Prabhuji.
So now part 2 is verses 5 to 14. Srila Narad Muni begins his travel. So Narad Muni starts responding to these inquiries, and Narad Muni is describing his previous life when he was a 5-year-old boy. Priyanka, verse 5, translation and purport, faster pace.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Shri Narada said, the great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of transcendence to me departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way. Purport. In his previous life, when Naradji was impregnated with spiritual knowledge by the grace of the great sages, there was a tangible change in his life, although he was only a boy of 5 years. That is an important symptom visible after initiation by the bona fide spiritual master. Actual association of devotees brings about a quick change in life for spiritual realization. How it is so acted upon the previous life of Sri Narad Muni is described by and by in this chapter. Hare Krishna.
So Srila Prabhupada says there is a tangible change in Srila Narad Muni's life, and this is the benefit of initiation from a bona fide spiritual master. Shivangi, verse 6 translation.
Hey Krishna. I was the only son of my mother, who was not only a simple woman but a maidservant as well. Since I was her only offspring, she had no other alternative for protection. She bound me with the tie of affection.
So Narad Muni is attached to his mother, and let's see what happens to his mother now. Pragya, verse 7 and 8 translations.
जी प्रभुजी Verse 7. She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was not able to do anything for me. The world is under the full control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. Verse 8. When I was a mere child of 5 years, I lived in Brahmana school. I was dependent on my mother's affection and had no experience of different lands. Hare Krishna.
Everyone is under the control of Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as wooden doll is in the hands of puppet master. So whether you are a devotee or someone who is a non-devotee, everyone is under control of the Lord. Non-devotees are under the control of Maya, the external energy, and devotees are under the control of spiritual energy. So Narad Muni is still this 5-year-old boy, and he has no knowledge of the outside world. And we'll soon realize what happens with all of this. Matan Prabhu, verse 9 translation purport and then 10 translation purport.
Hare Krishna. Verse 9. Once upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent influenced by supreme time. That is purport. That is the way of dragging a sincere soul nearer to God. The poor boy was being looked after only by his affectionate mother, and yet the mother was taken from the world by the supreme will in order to put him completely at the mercy of the Lord.
Did you read the purports also?
Sorry?
9, 9 and 10.
Okay. Verse 10. I took this as the special mercy of the Lord, who always desires benediction for his devotees, and so thinking I started for the north. Purport. Confidential devotee of the Lord, see in every step a benedictory direction of the Lord. What is considered to be an odd or difficult moment in the mundane sense is accepted as special mercy of the Lord. Mundane prosperity is a kind of material fever, and by the grace of the Lord, the temperature of this material fever is gradually diminished, and spiritual health is obtained step by step. Mundane people misunderstand it. Hare Krishna.
So visualize this, that Narad Muni is 5-year-old boy. He has not seen the outside world. He is completely dependent on his mother, and the mother is taken away by the Lord. And Prabhupada explains that this is special mercy of the Lord to bring a soul closer to Krishna. And Narad Muni also takes it as benediction. So this happened under the influence of time. He explains about Kala that Narada Muni is experiencing the mercy of Supreme Lord. Narada Muni is saying that Narada Muni accepted this as mercy. Why accepting as mercy? Because whatever the Lord does is for the good of others. So Srila Narada Muni is not impacted by Kala. When one is not impacted by Kala, then one can start doing Hari Katha. And even during the final rites, the funeral rites of his mother, Narad Muni just left the house. Narad Muni took all this as special benediction, and Srila Prabhupada writes, which we just read, that confidential devotees see the benedictory mercy of the Supreme Lord in whatever happens. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, does that mean does that mean something good happened to his mother as well? Like, was the Lord also looking after his mother?
So,
She passed away.
yeah, I mean, it's not described. And understand that if you recall in the previous chapter, there was a brief mention that the mother also served the pure devotees. There's not a much detail about what the mother was following, so I cannot speculate. But yes, the mother also served the Vedanta, the Bhakti Vedantas. That means she also did devotional service. That is never lost. Does that explain?
It explains, but when we're reading it at first, it kind of just seems like the mother is kind of like a pawn in his devotional journey. So
Yeah, so if she didn't finish the devotional, means she didn't remember Krishna, then she will continue from wherever she left off. So Bhagavatam does not describe about what happens to the mother. And also Bhagavatam has no mention about the father of this 5-year-old boy at all. It probably is there in some other scripture, but it's not relevant for us. Therefore, it's not described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Shivani?
I understand, Prabhuji. It's just when you read it first, it seems as if the Lord favors the child more than the mother. But as you said, everything he does is for the good of others. So
Yeah, everything is for the good of others. I mean, we are only reading a small subset. We are only reading about Narad Muni, that we cannot come to a conclusion as to what the Lord did for the mother. We don't have that information. But you are absolutely correct that Lord does, whatever the Lord does is for the good of others. Shivangi?
okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Pragya?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, in text 6 of this chapter, it is written that she had no other alternative for protection. She bound me with the tie of affection. Is it having a negative connotation that her affection to the child Narad Muni was negative for him?
You are correct. So Narad Muni is describing that mother was attached and the child was also attached, but we'll soon read in the upcoming verses that all this tie of attachment was all broken off with devotional service. So it definitely is showing a negative, but then it's showing the effect of bhakti yoga, that it destroys all negative points. Okay?
So, Prabhuji, but if somebody, like in Bhakti Yoga, we say that you can be grihast and be bhakti, be involved in bhakti. You don't have to quit your family. So when you are with your family, the affection is there. Na? You are not living with your family while pursuing bhakti by ignoring them. You still have that affection for them.
Yeah, so the affection should be at the soul level, not at the body level. When you have affection at the soul level, the affection is not restricted to the souls within your family. The affection is for every soul in the world, and the affection is for Krishna. So don't apply partially for yourself and not realizing that you actually may have affection at the bodily level. So if you have affection at the soul level, which is where you should be, or at least try to be at that level, then affection should be equal for all souls, whether it's animal body or bird body or your family Pragya?
Understand that, Prabhuji. The thing is that family is a body concept or is it a soul concept? Because
Depends on you. Family is, if you are attached at the bodily level, then you are a bodily concept. So in spiritual world also there is family, but everything there is spiritual. So and in the so this described at great length in Srimad Bhagavatam, that the consorts of devotees in spiritual world are significantly more beautiful than the apsaras of heaven. But the males are not agitated because they are always engaged together with their consorts in service of the Lord. So it depends on individual to individual, whether you are attached to body or whether you are attached to soul of your family.
Prabhuji, if we were attached to soul, then and only and not to the body, then we would not, mourn our dead one, beloved
So
people.
right now you are in Mishra Bhakti, which is okay, where you can just grow from that level. It's okay to be in Mishra Bhakti at the start.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Abhishek Prabhu, you had some question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, here, this example of Narada's mother dying is like it is effect of the internal potency.
That's exactly what we read in verse 9 and 10, where Narad Muni explains, Prabhupada explains that this happened under the influence of time. But Narad Muni goes on to explain that Narad Muni was not affected by time, because Narad Muni by now is becoming, has already transformed into a pure devotee. And this discussion is all coming up in the upcoming verses. So from this point on, Narad Muni is a pure devotee. In his previous life, he's still not Narad Muni. He's still a 5-year-old boy. And from this point on, he has become a pure devotee.
Prabhuji, this point that whatever Lord does for the good of others, how should we see the external energies affect the reactions people receive, the wars which happen? The good,
So there are two different points. The war that you are talking about, that is pure external energy. That is all karmic reaction. But for devotees, what the external energy does in terms of giving miseries, that is actually a benediction. So there are few devotees present among here, even virtually, that have gone through miseries, and they can, if they have the ability to be strong enough, they can tell you that from those miseries, they actually became purified and became closer to Krishna. They are still here. They went through horrible miseries, but they are still here. Abhishek Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. So, what I'm not clear on is that the reactions which come should also have some good, because it is said whatever the Lord does is for good of others.
Yeah.
So,
So we read here, what Narad Muni says is that by taking away my mother, and mother was the only source of protection. This is a 5-year-old boy. He has not seen the world outside. Mother was the only source of protection, and the Lord takes away the mother. And Narad Muni says, this is mercy of the Lord to bring me closer to the Lord. This is the nature of a pure devotee. Abhishek Prabhu?
So, how should we see the pure external energy reactions? Like, as I initially asked, the wars and these things. Like, we don't see people becoming devotee by those reactions, right? Or purifying.
Sure you do. You are all devotees. Visualize you all started at some point as materialistic people coming to the temple for the first time. And now you are coming week after week after week to this scriptural study, to our Bhakti Rich classes, doing spiritual endeavors. So you are transforming. These are all happening under the internal energy.
Yes, like there are people. I'm talking about the reactions of external energy. Like there are people who will see wars and they say that if there is God, then why so and so bad things are happening. So in that sense, they are going away by facing those negative reactions, right?
Yeah, so the war that are happening in the material world is because cows are not protected, and it gives negative reaction to many, not just one or two, but to many, and therefore all these wars are happening. It's described in multiple places in Srimad Bhagavatam that all these wars are because cows are not protected and Brahmanical culture is not protected. So you are correct that some people may say, well, if God is there, why is this happening? So they should at some point of time come to the realization to find their answers from scriptures. So if you meet somebody, you can suggest to them that they can speak to some senior devotee at the temple or give them prasad, invite them to Sunday feast so that they can get their answers. Otherwise, they are just using their mental concoction.
So in these activities, we don't like the my question is related to the point that whatever Lord does is good for others. So the external energy reaction should also be good for others, right?
Yeah, you are exhausting your karma.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Divya?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhuji, this special mercy of the Lord that Narad Muni received, what does that mean? Like, did the Lord interfere and do that, or would his mother have passed away regardless? Like, that is how his karma or fate was written.
Okay, read the verse I will bring up on screen. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:88:8, very famous verse, very easy to remember verse. Read the translation from the screen. Yasyaham anugrahami, very famous verse.
The translation, the personality of Godhead said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another.
Right, so this is a special mercy that the Lord takes away everything so that the devotee can come closer to the Lord. Divya?
Okay, so Prabhuji, if Narad Muni had not gone down this path, then his fate would have been much different. Because he went down this path, Lord interfered.
Yeah, you are correct.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Vimal Prabhu, was it you having question?
I wasn't sure about Muni.
Your voice is breaking. Vimal Prabhu, your voice is breaking. We cannot hear what you're saying.
You were you explained already because Navad Muni was not affected by the time. That was a little confusing for me because how a 5-year-old boy can be such a elevation, and which he was. But as you mentioned, he was not affected by time, so he was different level.
Yeah, and soon you will realize that this discussion will come up in upcoming verses when Narad Muni starts his travel. Okay, very good. Chandran Prabhu. So from verse 11 onwards, Narad Muni describes his travel. Chandran Prabhu, verse 11 to 14 translations.
Hare Krishna. Verse 11. After my departure, I passed through many flourishing metropolises, towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, flower gardens, nursery gardens, and natural forests. Purport, can I read, Prabhu?
Just the
Purport.
translation.
Only textual translation. I passed through hills and mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals like gold, silver, and copper, and through tracts planted with reservoirs of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, fit for the denizens of heaven, decorated with bewildered beasts and singing birds. Text 3. I then passed alone through many forests of rushes, bamboo, reeds, sharp grass, weeds, and caves, which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark, and dangerously fearful forests, which were the playyards of snakes, owls, and jackals. Text 14. Thus, traveling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry. So I took a bath in a river, lake, and also drank water. By contacting water, I got relief from my exhaustion.
Right. So
Like,
visualize that this is a 5-year-old boy. He has not seen anything out in the outside world, and he's traveling through thick forest without any fear. This 5-year boy was completely oblivious to the surrounding. This 5-year-old boy has now passed all the stages all the way to bhava and prema. Therefore, this 5-year-old boy became fearless. So he has become a pure devotee. Therefore, he is able to do all this. Everybody on the same page?
Hey, Prabhuji, when his mother was there, he was in the company of those sages, wasn't he?
You are correct.
So then he left that place also, or the sages left before him?
No, the sages left. So what has happened, if you recall the initial part of chapter 5, that it was the sages were traveling and it was a rainy season. So the sages needed a place to rest and not travel during that time. And therefore they took the mother's place to stay on for a little while till the rainy season was finished. And then the with Bhaktivedantas continued their journey.
Okay, so first the sages left, then mother left, and then he started traveling.
Correct.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Somebody else also had a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have question from upcoming verse. Can I ask?
So hold on till we reach there.
Okay.
Dhara.
Prabhuji, I was just thinking that we hear some people go for like Narmada Parikrama, which is also something what was just described in these 4 verses. So does that mean Lord is merciful or favoring them?
Yeah, Lord is favoring devotees for sure. I mean, I don't know the background of whom you are saying, but we did read the verse 10:88:8. Yes, Lord is favoring those who are doing devotional services.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay. So now part 3 is verses 15 to 20, which describes Narad Muni experiences the ecstatic love of God. He's still in the 5-year-old previous life. This is when Narad Muni experiences ecstatic love of God. Dhara, you can read 15 translation and purport, faster pace.
Translation. After that, under the shadow of a banyan tree in an uninhabited forest, I began to meditate upon the super soul situated within, using my intelligence as I had learned from liberated souls. Purport. One should not meditate according to one's personal whims. One should know perfectly well from the authoritative sources of scriptures through the transparent medium of a bona fide spiritual master, and by proper use of one's trained intelligence for meditating upon the super soul dwelling within every living being. This consciousness is firmly developed by a devotee who has rendered loving service unto the Lord by carrying out the orders of the spiritual master. Sri Naradji contacted bona fide spiritual masters, served them sincerely, and got enlightenment rightly. Thus he began to meditate.
So the first line in the purport is very important. One should not meditate according to his personal whims. I'll give you a live example from our class. A devotee is present among us here right now. And the devotee one time mentioned to me, oh, I am doing so and so sadhana. And I said, why are you making up your sadhana? You have to follow what Srila Prabhupada has given. So the devotee is not endeavoring on the spiritual endeavor, but the devotee is doing his own thing. And I said, no, why are you doing your own personal whims? You have contaminated mind and senses. How can you make up what you like and what you dislike? No, that's your personal whims. And Prabhupada clearly says, we should not follow our personal whims. We have to follow what is given in parampara. So I have explained so many times to the point that I have literally been fed up now to explain to you all this point again about the need for spiritual endeavor. So the sequence of things that you should be doing is attend the classes, listen to Prabhupada lecture. If you miss Prabhupada lecture, if you miss the class, then you listen to the class recording as soon as possible. Listen to Prabhupada lecture, complete your spiritual endeavor, read all the verses and purports. Then if your time is left over, then you can do additional things. But the devotee present among us here right now, not endeavoring, but he's doing his own thing. Are Baba, follow what scriptures and parampara are telling us. Don't follow your whims. All right, so now Narad Muni describes the darshan of the Lord. Okay, so verse number 16 and 17 translation will read. Archana.
Hare Krishna. Verse 16. As soon as I began to meditate upon the lotus feet of the personality of a Godhead, with my mind transformed in a transcendental love, tears rolled down my eyes, and without delay, the personality of a Godhead, Sri Krishna, appeared on the lotus feet on my heart.
Not lotus feet, lotus of my heart.
Oh, lotus of my heart. Text 17. O Vyasadeva, at that time began exceedingly overpowered by feeling of happiness. Every part of my body became a separately enlivened, being observed in an ocean ecstasy. I could not see both myself and the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So the Narad Muni is further describing the process that when you get darshan of the Lord, how does that happen and what all happens to you all? So when Narad Muni started to meditate, still he is 5-year-old boy, his heart was completely filled with love for the Supreme Lord, and the Lord appeared on Narad Muni's heart. So there is a gradual progression. So first Lord appears in the heart, then devotee experiences through the senses, like the nose, he smells the tulsi offered to the Lord. Ears, he hears the sound of the ankle bell, then Krishna's voice. Eyes, he sees the sweet form of the Lord. All this is described in the purport. Meaning, Narad Muni was so deeply absorbed in feeling of happiness that Narad Muni could not see himself and anything. This is the state of prema. Meaning, Narad Muni was oblivious to the surrounding. Therefore, he was able to travel everywhere. So the point is that when one comes to prema while performing sadhana bhakti, then one gets darshan of Krishna. So devotee gets to see the Lord only once during sadhana bhakti. When one reaches Siddha stage, then one can see the Lord all the time. So I want to complete the next point, which is relevant to our discussion. So if we can tolerate for a few additional minutes today, let's see. Abhishek Prabhu, quickly 18, 19 translations.
Hare Krishna. 18. The transcendental form of the Lord as it is satisfies the mind's desire and at once erases all mental incongruities. Upon losing that form, I suddenly got up, being perturbed, as is usual, when one loses that which is desirable. 19. I desired to see that transcendental form of the Lord, but despite my attempts to concentrate upon the heart with eagerness to view the form again, I could not see him any more, and thus dissatisfied, I was very much aggrieved.
So we'll skip reading the verse number 19 purport. It's a very important purport, but in essence of time, we'll skip and I will explain the important point here. That the form of the Lord is so beautiful that it destroys all material troubles. And after giving darshan to this 5-year-old boy, the Lord disappeared. So Narad Muni wanted to see the form again. And Narad Muni says, okay, I know the process. So I will follow the process again and Lord should appear. And this is a very important point in the crux of our discussion today, that even though Narad Muni knew the process, Narad Muni followed the process again, but Narad Muni could not see the form again. It's very important that Lord is not controlled by our sadhana. Srila Prabhupada says that one cannot demand the Lord to appear, but the Lord appears with sincere attempts of devotional service. Srila Prabhupada writes, the Lord is completely independent of all obligations. There is no mechanical process to see the form of the Lord. Darshan of the Lord completely depends on the causeless mercy of the Lord. So I've described this many times that if somebody tells you, and specifically there are so many Babajis in India, they tell you that they will show you the form of the Lord in 2, 3, 6 months or whatever time, run very far away from them. Quote them this Bhagavatam verse as well as Bhagavad Gita chapter 11, that you can see the Lord only when the Lord is pleased by your devotional service. There is no mechanical process to see the form of the Lord. We cannot demand the Lord to be present before our vision, just as we cannot demand the sun to rise whenever we like. The sun rises out of his own accord. So also the Lord is pleased to be present out of his causeless mercy. Prabhupada makes another very important statement in the purport that one should simply await the opportune moment and go on discharging his prescribed duty in devotional service of the Lord. Very important. You just continue doing service and wait for an opportune moment for the Lord to be pleased by the devotional service, and he will reveal himself. Narad Muni thought that the Lord could be seen again by the same mechanical process which was successful in the first attempt. But Narad Muni could not make the second attempt successful. The Lord can simply be bound by our material senses. When he pleases, being satisfied with the sincere attempt of devotional service, depending completely on the mercy of the Lord, then he may be seen out of his own accord. Let's read the verse number 20, which is the last verse in this part, and then we'll pause for questions, comments, realization. Nitya, verse 20 translation quickly.
Yes, Prabhu. Seeing my attempt in that lonely place, the personality of Godhead was transcendental to all mundane description, spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words just to mitigate my grief.
So instead of giving the darshan again, Lord spoke to this 5-year-old boy and Srila Prabhupada says that this is a special gift to Narad Muni in his previous slide as the 5-year-old boy. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations. Okay.
Prabhuji, I was just saying that in the purport of the previous verse, Prabhupada has said that the Lord is completely independent of all obligations. So he can simply be bound up by the tie of unalloyed devotion. He can simply be bound up by the tie of unalloyed devotion. So can he be bound or he cannot be bound?
He can be bound only by unalloyed devotion.
But the 5-year-old boy had that, still he could not bind him.
Yeah, so he did bind. But then Krishna also explains that I am independent. I am not bound with your sadhana. I am bound by your devotion, but still I am independent. That's the point being made in verse number 19. It's a very important purport, which I wanted to read today, but in essence of time, I skipped. So there are multiple points here that yes, you can bound, and therefore the Prabhupada uses the word can. Yes, you can bound the Lord, but the Lord revealing himself is still his causeless mercy. Okay?
Prabhuji, his relation with Radharani is different because there, when Radharani calls him, he comes, right?
Radharani is completely different. We cannot be anywhere.
So she is also a devotee, the highest devotee, but
you are correct. So
is
Srimati
this
Radharani is a completely different level. Dipanshu Prabhu, you had your question. Did we cover that once, or you want to wait for next class?
Prabhuji, it's verse number 28.
It's not hold on. Yeah,
I can
hold on.
wait for the next.
All right.
Yeah, but I have a realization here.
Yeah.
The story of Narad Muni seems to be quite similar to that of Dhruv Maharaj, because both of them left their home in search of Supreme at the age of 5.
Okay, very good similarity. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they follow different processes, but when I say different processes, as in that Dhruv Maharaj did Ashtanga Yoga, and here he did devotional service. I mean, Dhruv Maharaj also did devotional service, just with the Ashtanga Yoga path.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. We are just past 9 a.m. here in Toronto. Thank you for tolerating few extra minutes. So I will post a link for you to complete spiritual endeavor and inquiries. Are we okay to stop here?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.